Welcome to Ace My Exams Learning. Let us get started with today's learning.
Economics Grade 10. What is economics? Economics is a social science that studies how individuals, businesses, governments, and other organizations within our society make choices about using scarce resources to satisfy their unlimited wants and needs. Since resources are limited, we must use them efficiently and avoid waste. Because it is impossible to satisfy all our wants and needs, we face trade-offs and must prioritize which needs to fulfill. For example, a country must decide how to allocate its budget between building hospitals, funding education, or improving infrastructure. These decisions involve careful consideration and balancing competing interests. Key concepts in economics. 1. Needs. Needs refer to the basic necessities required for survival, such as food, water, clothing, and shelter. These are essential for maintaining life and ensuring well-being. For instance, access to nutritious food is a fundamental need for healthy living, while clothing protects us from harsh weather conditions. 2. Wants. Wants are items or services that are not essential for survival, but enhance comfort and provide pleasure. Unlike needs, wants are shaped by personal preferences and societal influences. For example, owning a smartphone or a pair of branded sneakers might not be necessary for survival, but they can significantly improve one's lifestyle and social status. 3. Resources. Resources are the foundational inputs required to produce goods and services in an economy. These inputs are essential because they enable the creation of products and services that meet human needs and wants. Resources are limited, making it crucial to use them efficiently to avoid waste and ensure sustainable development. They are typically categorized into 4 types: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Each of these categories plays a distinct and vital role in the production process. A. Land. Land refers to all natural resources that are used in the production of goods and services. This includes elements like forests, minerals, water, and fertile soil. Land resources are crucial because they provide the raw materials necessary for economic activities. For example, farmland is essential for growing crops that feed populations, while forests provide timber for construction and paper production. Mineral deposits, such as coal or gold, are mined to create energy or manufacture products. Since natural resources are finite, their conservation and sustainable use are vital to ensuring they remain available for future generations. B. Labor. Labor encompasses the human effort, both physical and intellectual, involved in the production process. It is one of the most dynamic resources, as it includes the skills, knowledge, and expertise of workers. Examples of labor include teachers educating students, doctors providing healthcare, and factory workers assembling products. Labor quality can vary depending on education, training, and experience, which directly impacts productivity. For instance, a well-trained software engineer can develop innovative applications that improve efficiency in other industries. Investing in education and skill development enhances the value of the labor force, driving economic growth. C. Capital. Capital refers to man-made tools, machinery, and infrastructure used in the production process. Unlike land and labor, capital is not a natural resource, but is created through human effort. Examples include factories, vehicles, tools, and computers. For instance, a delivery company uses vehicles, capital, to transport goods efficiently, while a factory relies on machinery to manufacture products at scale. Capital is critical because it increases productivity and efficiency in production. Without sufficient capital, businesses may struggle to compete or innovate, underscoring the importance of investing in infrastructure and technology. D. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the ability to combine land, labor, and capital effectively to produce goods and services. Entrepreneurs identify opportunities, take risks, and innovate to create value. For example, the founders of a technology company might develop a groundbreaking product that addresses a specific consumer need, such as renewable energy solutions. Entrepreneurs are often seen as the driving force behind economic growth, as they generate employment, introduce new ideas, and create wealth. Successful entrepreneurship requires vision, creativity, and the ability to adapt to changing market conditions. Each of these resource categories is interdependent and plays a crucial role in economic systems. Understanding how to manage and utilize resources efficiently is key to fostering sustainable growth and meeting societal need. Economic elements. To understand how economies function and how resources are utilized, it is crucial for us to understand the four foundational economic elements of scarcity, choice, efficiency, and equitability. Each concept provides insight into the challenges and decision-making processes involved in resource allocation. 1. Scarcity. Scarcity is a fundamental economic problem that arises because human needs and wants are unlimited, while resources available to meet them are limited. This imbalance means that individuals, businesses, and governments must constantly prioritize their needs and wants. For instance, a family with a limited income might need to choose between spending money on food, paying for school fees, or saving for emergencies. Scarcity can be categorized into two types. A. Absolute scarcity. This occurs when resources are completely unavailable to meet prevailing needs and wants. For example, during a severe drought, there may be no water available for agriculture, drinking, or sanitation. B. Relative scarcity. This occurs when resources are available, but needed for multiple competing uses at the same time. For instance, a plot of land might be suitable for building houses, planting crops, or establishing a factory. Choosing one purpose means foregoing the others. Scarcity forces us to make tough decisions about how to use our resources effectively, making it the foundation of all economic activity. 2. Choice. Since resources are scarce, individuals and organizations must make choices about how to allocate them. Every choice comes with a trade-off, meaning that selecting one option often requires giving up another. This trade-off is referred to as opportunity cost, which is the value of the next best alternative foregone. For example, if a government decides to invest in building new schools, the opportunity cost might be the funds that could have been used to improve healthcare facilities. Similarly, if a student spends time studying mathematics, the opportunity cost might be the time they could have used to study history. Understanding opportunity cost helps decision-makers evaluate the relative benefits of different options and ensures that resources are allocated where they can create the most value. 3. Efficiency. Efficiency in economics refers to using resources in a way that maximizes output without wasting any inputs. When resources are used efficiently, it means that society gets the most benefit from them at the right time. For example, a factory that uses advanced technology to produce goods quickly with minimal waste demonstrates efficiency. A key concept in efficiency is Pareto efficiency, a situation where it is impossible to make one person better off without making someone else worse off. For instance, reallocating food from one household to another might increase satisfaction for the recipient, but reduce satisfaction for the giver. On the other hand, inefficiency occurs when resources are not used optimally, leading to waste or lower output. For example, leaving fertile farmland unused or underutilized while there is a food shortage reflects inefficiency. Efficient resource management is essential for maximizing productivity and meeting societal needs. 4. Equitability. Equitability, or fairness, ensures that resources are distributed justly and that everyone has access to the benefits of economic activity. This principle emphasizes the importance of avoiding exploitation and ensuring that current resource use does not deprive future generations of their benefits. For example, businesses should treat workers fairly by providing adequate wages and safe working conditions rather than focusing solely on profit. Similarly, governments play a critical role in promoting equity by implementing progressive tax systems, offering free social services, like education and healthcare, and providing social security grants to vulnerable populations. Environmental equity is another important aspect, as it ensures sustainable use of resources. For instance, regulating deforestation ensures that future generations can also benefit from forests. Equitability fosters social stability and long-term economic growth by reducing disparities in wealth and opportunities. Understanding the economic problem. The basic economic problem is rooted in scarcity. Scarcity arises because resources available to satisfy human needs and wants are limited, while human desires are virtually unlimited. This creates a challenge for individuals, businesses, and governments to allocate resources efficiently and effectively to meet as many needs as possible while prioritizing the most essential. Understanding scarcity. Scarcity refers to the gap between the limited resources available and the endless human needs and wants that these resources must fulfill. For example, individuals often face constraints in their personal budgets. A student earning a part-time income may need to decide whether to spend their limited money on essential items, such as food and transport, or non-essential items, like a new video game or an upgraded smartphone. This decision highlights the constant tension between limited means and unlimited wants. Similarly, governments also face scarcity in terms of financial resources. A government might have a budget of 400 billion rands, which must be allocated to various sectors such as building new schools, improving healthcare facilities, maintaining public safety, and funding infrastructure projects. However, the government cannot fund every sector to its fullest due to limited financial resources. For instance, choosing to allocate more money to education might mean less funding is available for police services. The role of human needs and wants. Scarcity becomes even more pressing when distinguishing between needs and wants. Needs are the basic necessities essential for survival, such as food, water, shelter, and clothing. For example, a family might prioritize buying groceries to ensure everyone is fed. Wants, on the other hand, are non-essential items that enhance comfort and bring pleasure. Examples of wants include vacations, designer clothing, or the latest smartphone model. While needs are finite, wants are virtually limitless, further exacerbating the economic problem of scarcity. The role of limited money. For both individuals and governments, money acts as a medium to access goods and services. However, the limited availability of money creates trade-offs and forces choices. For instance, an individual earning a fixed salary may decide to save money for a future holiday, which means they might need to cut back on eating out or purchasing entertainment items. Governments face similar dilemmas on a larger scale. For example, a government might wish to fund more hospitals to improve healthcare access. Still, it may need to reduce spending on infrastructure development to do so. These trade-offs highlight the pervasive nature of scarcity across all levels of economic decision-making. The implications of scarcity. Scarcity forces people and organizations to make difficult choices, prioritizing one option over others. This concept lies at the heart of economics, as individuals, businesses, and governments constantly work to maximize the benefits derived from limited resources. Efficient resource allocation is essential to minimize waste and ensure that the most critical needs are met. For example, a household may prioritize paying rent and utility bills before spending on leisure activities. Similarly, a government may focus on funding education and healthcare, considering them essential for long-term societal development, even if it means postponing investment in other sectors like sports or cultural programs. Therefore, the basic economic problem of scarcity is a universal challenge that affects individuals, businesses, and governments alike. It arises because resources are limited while human wants are unlimited. This fundamental problem requires careful decision-making to allocate resources effectively and prioritize needs over wants. Understanding scarcity helps us appreciate the importance of making informed choices to balance. The economic question. The economic question addresses how societies allocate their limited resources to meet the needs and wants of their populations. These questions are critical because resources are scarce, but human needs and desires are virtually unlimited. The economic question consists of three fundamental components: what should be produced? How should it be produced? And for whom will it be produced? Each of these components helps guide economic decision-making, ensuring that resources are used effectively and efficiently. 1. What should be produced? This question focuses on determining which goods and services should be produced with the available resources. Since resources are limited, societies must prioritize certain goods and services over others. Decision-makers must consider the needs of the population, the availability of resources, and the potential impact of their choices. For example, during a health crisis, a government might decide to prioritize producing medical equipment, vaccines, and healthcare facilities instead of allocating resources to non-essential items like luxury cars or entertainment projects. In contrast, during times of economic growth, a society might focus on producing consumer goods to improve the standard of living. This question also depends on the type of economic system in place. In a market economy, decisions about what to produce are influenced by consumer demand and profit incentives. In a command economy, the government determines what will be produced based on its assessment of societal needs. 2. How should it be produced? This question examines the methods and processes used to produce goods and services. It involves choosing between various production techniques, such as labor-intensive methods, using more human labor, or capital-intensive methods, using more machinery and technology. For example, a factory that produces clothing may choose to rely on skilled workers to sew garments by hand, which could create more jobs, but take longer. Alternatively, the factory might invest in advanced machinery to produce clothing more quickly and in larger quantities, although this approach might reduce the number of workers needed. The choice of production method also considers factors such as A. Resource availability. The availability of resources plays a significant role in determining how goods and services are produced. Countries rich in natural resources, such as oil, coal, timber, or minerals, often rely heavily on these resources for their economic activities. For instance, Saudi Arabia utilizes its vast oil reserves to fuel its economy, making petroleum a cornerstone of its production and exports. Similarly, countries with fertile soil and favorable climates, such as Brazil, often focus on agricultural production like coffee, soybeans, and sugarcane. On the other hand, countries with fewer natural resources must find alternative ways to sustain their economies. These nations may rely on importing raw materials to meet their production needs. For example, Japan lacks significant natural resources, but has become a global leader in manufacturing and technology by importing raw materials like iron, ore and crude oil, and using its advanced technology and skilled labor to add value. In some cases, resource scarcity drives innovation. For instance, countries with limited fossil fuel reserves may invest in renewable energy sources like solar or wind power. This adaptability not only addresses resource constraints, but also aligns with global sustainability goals. B. Cost efficiency. Cost efficiency is a fundamental consideration for producers, as it directly impacts their ability to compete in the market. To minimize costs and maximize output, producers often analyze various factors such as labor, materials, and technology. For example, a smartphone manufacturer may choose to outsource production to countries with lower labor costs, such as India or Vietnam, to reduce expenses while maintaining quality. Additionally, producers may invest in automation and advanced machinery, which, although initially expensive, can significantly lower long-term production costs by increasing efficiency and reducing reliance on manual labor. Cost efficiency also involves sourcing affordable raw materials and negotiating favorable terms with suppliers. For instance, a clothing brand might procure fabric from regions where production costs are lower, such as Bangladesh, to keep prices competitive. Balancing cost efficiency with quality is essential. While reducing costs is important, sacrificing product quality can harm a brand's reputation and lead to long-term financial losses. C. Environmental impact. In recent years, there has been a growing emphasis on the environmental impact of production processes. Producers are increasingly adopting eco-friendly practices to reduce harm to the environment and align with consumer expectations for sustainable products. One example of this shift is the use of renewable energy sources. Many companies now power their factories and operations using solar panels, wind turbines, or hydroelectric energy instead of relying on fossil fuels. For instance, global tech companies like Google and Apple have committed to running their facilities on 100% renewable energy, reducing their carbon footprint significantly. Another area of focus is waste reduction. Producers are finding innovative ways to recycle and reuse materials to minimize waste. For example, some clothing brands, like Patagonia, use recycled fabrics to create new garments, reducing the environmental impact of their production processes. Sustainability also involves responsible resource management, such as reducing water consumption in industries like agriculture and textiles. For example, drip irrigation systems in farming can conserve water while maintaining crop yields. Adopting eco-friendly practices benefits not only the environment, but also businesses, as consumers increasingly prefer products from companies that demonstrate a commitment to sustainability. In the long run, this approach helps ensure that natural resources are available for future generations while maintaining economic growth. 3. For whom will it be produced? This question focuses on determining who will receive the goods and services produced. It addresses issues of distribution and access, ensuring that resources are allocated in a way that meets societal needs. For instance, in a society with significant income inequality, wealthier individuals may have greater access to luxury goods, while lower-income groups struggle to afford basic necessities. Governments often intervene to address these disparities by providing public goods and services, such as free healthcare and education, to ensure that everyone benefits from economic production. The distribution of goods and services depends on the economic system. A. Distribution in a market economy. In a market economy, the distribution of goods and services is primarily determined by purchasing power. This means that individuals or businesses with the financial resources to pay for goods are the ones who can access them. Market economies rely on the forces of supply and demand to dictate prices and allocate resources. For example, luxury goods like designer clothing or high-end electronics are available to those who can afford them, while basic necessities like food and clothing are often accessible at lower price points for broader affordability. However, this system can lead to significant inequalities. Those with higher incomes can afford not only basic needs, but also luxuries, better education, and superior healthcare. Meanwhile, individuals with lower incomes may struggle to access even essential services. For instance, in some countries, access to high-quality healthcare or private education is restricted to those who can afford high fees, leaving lower-income groups dependent on government-subsidized or public options, which may be limited in quality or availability. B. Distribution in a command economy. In a command economy, the government plays a central role in the allocation of resources. Distribution is based on the government's assessment of societal needs, aiming to ensure that all citizens have access to basic necessities such as food, housing, and healthcare. This system seeks to minimize inequality by prioritizing collective well-being over individual purchasing power. For example, in a command economy like Cuba, the government allocates rationed food supplies and provides free healthcare and education to all citizens. Similarly, in the former Soviet Union, housing and employment were state-controlled, and basic goods were distributed based on need rather than market forces. While this approach can ensure that essential services are available to everyone, it may also lead to inefficiencies, shortages, or overproduction if the government misjudges supply and demand. C. Distribution in a mixed economy. A mixed economy incorporates elements of both market and command systems, balancing the efficiency of market forces with the equity of government intervention. In this system, market forces determine the distribution of many goods and services, but the government intervenes to ensure that essential needs are met and to address inequalities. For instance, in South Africa, private businesses provide goods and services like cars, electronics, and luxury goods, which are distributed based on purchasing power. At the same time, the government intervenes to provide free or subsidized services, such as public schooling, social grants, and healthcare, to ensure that low-income groups also have access to basic needs. This balance helps reduce disparities while allowing for the innovation and competition fostered by market systems. The mixed economy's flexibility enables governments to adapt their interventions based on current challenges. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many mixed economies implemented policies like stimulus packages or increased unemployment benefits to address economic disruptions and ensure that vulnerable populations could still access necessary resources.
To access more learning and exam preparation materials, go to www.acemyexams.coza. This link is also in the video description below. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to subscribe and be the first to know when we upload new videos.